Hi, Cubbies. Well, I can't be with you in person right now, but I'm so happy to be with you, at least on this video. I really miss you and wish I could see you, but at least you can see me and we can still have our story together for Cubbies this week. So let's get started. One time, God's people, the Israelites, felt very afraid of a big enemy. They forgot that God is in charge. They forgot God's promise that if the Israelites obeyed and trusted in Him, He would help them win against all their enemies. Young David would help them remember to trust God. Here is a true story from God's Word. Remember, all the stories in God's Bible really happened. You can believe them. One day, David's father Jesse said, "David, take these 10 loaves of bread and these 10 cheeses and hurry to visit your brothers in the army. Find out for me how they are doing. I hope they are well." Early the next morning, David left his sheep with another shepherd and packed the food and set off to see the 3 oldest brothers who were fighting in the Israelite army. When David arrived at the army camp, the Israelites were lining up to meet their enemy. These are the Israelites right here, and this is their enemy. The enemy was Goliath and the Philistines back here on this other hill across from them. David left his pack of food with a guard and ran to see his brothers on the hill. As David talked with his brothers, an angry voice boomed. "Israel, let's see how strong you are. Send a man to fight me," says Goliath the giant, standing right here on this rock. Goliath was a Philistine, and the Philistines were the enemies of God and God's people. Goliath stood over 9 feet tall. Cubbies, you can ask your parents to show you what 9 feet tall looks like right now. All right, back to our story. When the Israelites saw Goliath, they all ran away terrified. They forgot that God was in charge. They forgot to trust their mighty God and King, who saved them from their enemies. But David did not forget. "Who does this Philistine think he is? Does he really think he can beat the armies of the living God?" he said. "I will fight Goliath, and God will help me," David told the Israelites and King Saul. "You are too young," said King Saul. "You don't know how to fight." "I take care of my father's sheep," says David. "God helps me kill bears and lions that attack the sheep. He will help me kill Goliath," David answered. Cubbies, what do you think will happen? Will the little shepherd boy David win against the giant warrior Goliath? Why do you think so? We're going to pause here so you can talk about that with your parents. All right, Cubbies, we're back. So little David would not fight Goliath alone. God will help David. So David played a harp and liked to write songs. Listen to these words from one of his songs. "In God I trust, I will not be afraid. What can a man do to me?" Cubbies, that's our verse that we're learning this week. Can you say it after me? In God I trust, I will not be afraid. So David knew that God was stronger than any man and even a giant like Goliath. David also believed God would fight for Israel, as he promised. David went to a stream nearby and chose 5 smooth stones, like this one, to put in his pouch. He also had a sling, which is a long piece of cloth that he would set his stone into, so he could sling it towards another person or object. And he went to meet Goliath once he had his stones and his sling. When Goliath saw David, he was mad. He couldn't believe the Israelites would send such a young boy to fight him. Goliath said mean words to make fun of David. But David told Goliath this: "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." Then David ran closer. He reached into his pouch, pulled out a stone, and whirled it in his sling. Swoosh! He let the stone fly, and it thumped Goliath right in the forehead. See how he slung it up here, and it hit him right in the forehead. Hooray! The angry giant fell face first in the dirt. The Israelites hooted and hollered. They were so happy. They chased the rest of the Philistines and won the fight. Finally, they remembered that God is in charge. Many years later, David became king because of his trust in God. Cubbies, let's say David's verse again together. Psalm 56:11 says, "In God I trust, I will not be afraid." So, Cubbies, God doesn't promise to fight our enemies like he did for Israel. You see, Jesus died on the cross sometime after this, and Jesus changed everything. Instead, Jesus tells us to love our enemies and pray for those who hurt us. And God does promise that he is with us at all times. This is a promise God gives us in the Bible. When we feel afraid, you can remember this promise and other promises from the Bible.